Well, before I get going with my review of these fly reels that I'd happily buy again, I'll just tell you briefly what's been happening over the last couple of months. Fishing wise, well, quite honestly, it's been pretty dire. I've been out quite a number of times in some quite pleasant weather and some completely awful weather, and it's almost as if I'm fishing in a fishless void. I know that places I've been fishing are well stocked, but none of my regular small natural patterns and dry flies have been doing really any good. I find it sort of difficult to get inspired to post a video where it's taken me 6 or 7 hours to have one take and then the fish drop off. To me, that's not really nothing that I feel will inspire you as an angler in any way to go out and fish yourself. So I'm just hoping that in the next few months, when we finally get rid of winter, next year's going to be better. So I do this channel because what I want is to have something interesting to do in my retirement, and I enjoy putting the films together, and every time I get some pretty flattering and favourable comments, it inspires me to go ahead and do some more. So please subscribe and comment or tick the like or do something that gets the YouTube algorithms buzzing and my stuff gets viewed. So I'm going to put next to 3 of these reels I'm reviewing, I'm going to put a QR code, and then you can see them in use on actual fishing conditions. And anyway, let's progress with the reels. So the first one I've got here is a Redington Zero. It's a beautifully made cheap reel that very light, retails for under £100. You should be able to find it. It's quite strong, let's say well finished, and it's the ideal reel to team up with a light fly line if you're doing a little bit of dry fly or grayling fishing. And it's a good reel to lend out to people if you don't want to risk damaging maybe your prized reel. It's surprising with people that go fishing that are new to it. Some people have tremendous respect for your tackle, and others seem to be overjoyed grinding the rod again and reel against the rocks and sand and goodness knows what else is going on. Anyway, that reflects them as a person, I suppose. So I'll move on to the next item. So this is a Hardy Bougle fly reel. It's a reel that's been on the go for over 100 years. It's beautifully made in the UK, and it's lovely to fish. Little rivers, short casts. It sort of gives you, lets you get back to fishing with traditional tackle. That's, I say, if you handle the reel, you'd understand what I mean about it. And this is actually the second time I purchased one of these. I had one for years and loved fishing with it, and as usual I went through one of those periods where I wanted some new tackle, and to finance it I sold off some reels and rods and so on, and regrettably I sold off this item, and there I am sort of like 5 years later buying one back again. So that's proof in the pudding that they're certainly worth buying twice over. By the way, the Hardy reel comes in a nice sheepskin case rather than those dreadful vinyl things that they started bashing out in the 1970s. and still put some of the reels in. So here we have the Swedish made Danielson fly reels. These were marketed by Loop and other big fishing wholesalers and tackle dealers at really quite incredible prices. But I bought this one and one or two others direct from Sweden, which you can do, and they range from about £200 to £300 depending upon the size of the reel you get, and they're pretty geared up in Sweden, dealing direct with you. So if you don't make the mistake like my friend did of adding VAT when he was ordering the reel, so he ended up paying the Swedish VAT and then the UK VAT. If you order it without that, you only have your import duty and taxes to pay. And it's a good idea to buy maybe 2 or 3 reels if you can get a friend to join you, and a couple of spools. So the principle of these reels is that no matter how quickly you pull the line off, it doesn't overrun. The spool's suspended on 6 ball bearings. The only thing you must do is every time you finish fishing is you slacken off any tension on the spool. So you don't want to use this nut here as a drag. You just want to simply stop the reel from overrunning, which just has a minimum amount of tension. So it's got 3 ball bearings on the front here, and then at the back of the reel 3 ball bearing races there. Now, you will never have any trouble with these reels providing you what I call a clean fisherman. If you're somebody that picks up a fish in sandy conditions and there's sand on your hands getting in amongst these ball bearings, the reel will feel terrible, very lumpy and horrible on the retrieve. What you do in those circumstances is just to do 2 or 3 turns underwater, and it'll get rid of the garbage. So you know yourself how you fish. If you're one of these people that very sort of rough and ready and gung-ho, I don't recommend these for you. But if you're somebody that likes to sort of get involved and see fishing as a sort of refined sport, then these are the boys. And they come in a good variety of sizes. So again, the proof in the pudding, as say reels I buy again, is I've bought several of the models twice over. So this one here, that reel has accounted for about probably half a dozen salmon on the South Tyne, up to £12. And it was a joy to play them, because you're really feeling contact with the fish. So you can let your salmon run with virtually no pressure, and then just gently thumb the edge of the ring. Playing a fish, it's a nice experience with a decent fish. Right here we've got the Nymph-matic. This is a absolutely perfect reel for doing that kind of check nymphing. And so I think what makes it so good is a really smooth sealed drag system. You can have this set light, so you can tighten off the reel directly into a fish with sort of only 2 or 3 pound leaders without worrying about a breakage. You know, it'll give and give smoothly. So absolutely thoroughly recommend these reels, and the rod that goes with it, the Nymph-matic rod that goes with the reel. Makes a really good setup. Well, here we've got the JMC Equinox fly reel, without a doubt my favourite fly reel. This is a 3.5 to 1 retrieve. In other words, one turn of the reel handle, one's in 3.5 revolutions on the spool. And admittedly, it does take a bit of getting used to a geared fly reel, but the way that you can pick up loads of loose line around when you've got a fast moving fish and immediately get in contact with the fish. It's got a nice smooth drag, and it's got a nice exposed rim, also for actually feathering the rim to slow a good fish down. You know, most of these reels now come in these neoprene cases, which is great stuff. And something that's worth mentioning, I've had this reel for about 5 years. A couple of times it's been accidentally dropped, and there isn't a mark on the anodizing that you can see. The anodizing on these reels is absolutely incredible. So that's a belting reel, fishing flies, say up to size 8 hook size, for trout, etc. Brilliant. So here we have the Peux Speed Master Classic, a Swiss fly reel. This one has a 4.5 to 1 retrieve. Again, lovely smooth drag, beautifully made. Unfortunately, the Peux company, has stopped listing these fly reels now. They ordered it direct from Switzerland. Really expensive, but there's something about it that makes it a complete joy to use. I've got it with a spare spool, which is loaded up with one of the most useless lines I've ever bought, which was a 5-foot Nymph-matic floating line, which I thought would be quite good, but seeing as the Nymph-matic decides it's going to float regardless of what I do, it just ends up being a 5-weight full floating line. So that's pretty annoying. Especially, I won't mention the name because I don't want fanboys telling me I'm talking rubbish, but considering it was one of the most expensive Nymph-matics you could buy, what a disappointment. Anyway, getting back to this reel, if ever I lose this or it bites the dust, I will endeavour to find one second hand or whatever to replace it, because I really do like it. If you look at one of my videos 2 or 3 months back, I landed a salmon on a lock stack using this fly reel, so it isn't just for playing around with tiny trout. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed me rabbiting on, and please subscribe, and I'll try and bash out a few more videos during the miserable doom and gloom winter. So again, thanks for watching. Bye for now. Bye.